Hey, Tequila Mockingbird Fantasy Football League, it's John.
And it's David.
We're
your co-commissioners coming to you for your Week 6 recap. So we're going to start things off. Just so you guys know, we're going to be adding the IR spot right after we upload this video so that way you guys can have it before the waiver wire Wednesday morning.
Our next meetup will be October 25th, which is this upcoming, this upcoming Sunday in the Woodbridge area at Big Shots at 12 p.m. So there's that. So little notes about Week 6. Only 4 players scored over 30 points. There was Derrick Henry, Justin Jefferson, Julio Jones, Deshaun Watson, and Matt Ryan.
And honorable mention also goes to my guy, Carson Wentz, who got 29.4 points with a team that's basically decimated.
The top 2 teams are Steph and Alyssa. Again, ladies, good job. Good job.
And the closest margin to victory for this week was only 2.7 points.
That's crazy.
That is ridiculous.
That's crazy.
Yeah, James almost handed Steph her second loss of the season, but not quite. And also winners for this week are Steph, Paez, Caesar, me, of course, Tej, and Joe, and unfortunately not John. Sorry, John.
Again.
But we'll get into the matchups. So this week we had very interesting matchups. The first one is Caesar versus Israel. So Kenyon Drake scored 28 points, which a lot of that can be attributed to his garbage time TD in the last, I believe it was the 2 minutes of the fourth, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Where he gave a wonderful run. A happy late birthday gift to Caesar right there. Miles Sanders, though, on the negative side, got hurt and is pending further medical evaluation. Hopefully he'll only be out for a week or two, but who knows. At least he got a few points before he went out. The Bears D getting 11 points, giving, again, garbage time points, had the 2 interceptions that gave them the extra points. So definitely a lot of freebies for Caesar right there. And you can thank Teddy Bridgewater for that. And then the Vikings were not feeling Thielen. It was all Justice Jefferson, basically.
Yeah.
The man, the legend right there, who's only a rookie, got almost 40 points. Holy shit. By the way, I know it's Justin Jefferson, not Justice Jefferson, but it has a nicer ring to it, in my opinion.
So for Israel, Kareem Hunt and Chase Edmonds did not live up to their expectations. They are backups as they are. Deshaun Watson threw it like crazy to Brandon Cooks for over 32 points. That's a great coach firing. The Jets, we could learn something from that. We need some help in that area.
I really think you guys can.
Yeah. The Colts D played like the Eagles D and only got 3 points. And George Kittle scored 23 points, cementing his reliable fantasy value and solidifying his tight end 1 ranking.
Not a lot of tight end 1s this season.
This
Definitely
is a crazy season for tight ends, so they're very wishy-washy, a lot of them.
I think we got spoiled in these past few years.
Yeah.
So now for the Axel and my matchup. So Axel, Dalvin Cook is down. Next man up is Madison. Or not. Only getting 4 points with a run-heavy Minnesota Vikings defense. So that's got to hurt. Best player, though, was Mahomes. And then your second best player was your kicker. So that's how you know you had a rough week.
Yeah,
trust me. And then Ertz got hurt, damn it. Basically, I think is the best way to put it for our tight end situation. And Patrick Mahomes, as I was mentioning, best player. He had a slow day and still got 20 points.
Yeah,
20 a little bit above. So it's still definitely a great showing of how high his floor really is.
Right. A.J. Brown for David got him 22 points with the game-saving touchdown in the fourth quarter to push it into overtime, justifying his draft value after not playing well for a few weeks and not playing at all for a few weeks.
Yeah.
Mike Davis underperformed against the Carolina defense, but still, scored more points than Axel's running backs. CEH had 20 points. May not get that again now that Bell... I was right. Now that Bell's on the Chiefs and is going to become a fantasy running back.
You were definitely right. I really wanted him not to go on it for this exact reason. Wanted him to go to Miami, but
I told you, man, he's getting paid $6 million to be on a championship-winning team.
I wish that was my situation.
Your kicker was your weakest position, scoring 4 points. The same amount of points
Madison.
that Madison scored. The person who was supposed to replace Dalvin Cook.
Exactly. Exactly. Next, we have the Joe and Paris matchup.
Julio with a bounce back game. Classic 33.7 points. That's how you do. I mean, he has a few harsh games and then he comes back. Cup laid an egg for only 4 points for Joe. That's tough. Ben Roethlisberger really underperformed against the Browns, which is something I never thought I'd say. And the Giants defense did really well against the football team, doing well 2 weeks in a row, which just surprises many, I'm sure. I mean, nothing is going right for the Giants except for their defense right now, I guess.
And speaking of nothing going right, the Cowboys with Zeke. He literally ate his own words because he fumbled twice in that matchup, that disgusting matchup.
I heard a stat that he has fumbled in all the 6 games he played. He fumbled 4 times this season.
Wow. Yeah, so he's definitely having some issues there, as is the whole Cowboys team, as is the whole NFC East division, really.
Yeah.
But on a different note, Ryan Tannehill scored 28 points with some overtime against Houston, doing some serviceable things since his days in Miami, so happy for him. Buffalo, again, getting Paris negative points in back-to-back weeks, which really brings it to question the Giants' defense has been doing great for these past 2 weeks. Buffalo's not. Not really something that I would be thinking of. But they got a matchup against the Jets next week. I'm sure they'll have a bounce-back game. Sorry, John.
For sure.
And Paris, for some reason, has 3 tight ends. Why? Why? I mean, good for you, Paris, because you put in the right one out of those 3. But if anybody needs a good tight end, Paris has a really good tight end. Selection, at least. Right? He's got some options. I shouldn't say really good, but a lot of us are hurting at tight end, so hit up Paris. Now, for the John versus Paez matchup, so for John, he got a lot of good points from Ronald Jones.
Crazy.
I was totally surprised that he got 26 points. That's ridiculous.
2 touchdowns, they were up big.
Yeah, not a lot of running backs, just like the tight ends there isn't really that higher echelon. So to see that's really good, especially in a crowded backfield.
And then Dalvin Cook back 2 weeks from now, so that'll be cool.
Yeah, that's definitely good for you. But what might make you sicky to hear is that your tight end only got you 0 points.
I just can't play the right tight end the right week.
You need Paris' tight ends.
I know.
Also, speaking of the bad side, negative defense alert here with the Rams. Another negative impact. It sucks when your players only score 0. It's worse when they literally get you negative. Mm-hmm. It's like, why even bother? But Kenny Golladay got you serviceable 14.5.
Right.
So, missing -1 is not a big deal. At least
he was injured the first few weeks of the season, so since he's back, he's been getting me good points, and I like that. Yeah, it's good.
That's good. Oh, sorry guys, we had some technical difficulties there.
For Paez won, but he dropped Matty Ice for the Red Revolver, Andy Dalton, who only got him 11 points. Matty Ice, we talked about, got over 30 points, so that was tough.
Didn't believe that when I heard
in a league that every single point counts because of what could be going on, those are decisions that you kind of have to make. Another tight end won game for Travis Kelce. No issues with the tight end spot for Paez right now until his bye week comes up. His running backs combined for less than 10 points. They say fantasy football is one in the trenches. So be careful with that.
Yeah, Paez, be careful.
But they also say that defense wins championships and wins games, and the Steelers' defense wrecked the Cleveland Browns' offense, scoring 19 points, and that factored in
the points he didn't get from his running backs. Yeah, basically.
So,
all right, our next matchup is Steph versus James.
So Steph, our only 5-1 team, number one in the league.
Congrats, Steph. Congrats.
Only scoring 85 points and still won. That's pretty lucky, lady.
How does that happen?
Just one of those down weeks that you just happen to get lucky in, right?
Oh, my God.
Amari Cooper scored her 20.9 points, which is probably the only good thing that the Cowboys are doing right now. T. Higgins got 18 points, against a tough Colts defense, even being the 3rd wide receiver on the team. That's pretty impressive. Zach Moss got 1 point, which raises the question of why even starting him as a backup in the first place. But she also had 4 players on her roster that were on bye weeks, just like James, which brings us to our next point.
Yeah, so James also had 4 players on bye, but James had legit starters on bye.
Yeah,
4 of them, and he was still this close to actually winning his matchup. That's what I feel like hurts the most. Like when you have half of your starters gone,
right,
and to find out you almost won by 2.7 points, which on top of that, 2 of your starters that you did start got you 0 points.
0.
You needed like 3 Zach Mosses to win. Like that's all you needed.
Like
and
one catch for like 30 yards, and he would have won.
And like honestly, like I want to totally criticize the fact that you started 2 wide receivers on a team that doesn't really utilize them as much, but actually it turned out pretty well with Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore, right? They've been doing both pretty well being on the same team because neither one is really the number one. So, so you know what, James, that was a good call on your part. Sorry that you lost by such a small margin, but hey, you know, Chase Claypool though, showing to be a very serviceable flex play / waiver wire pickup. I would keep playing him moving forward. You know, keep that in mind.
He's a wide receiver 3 too.
Yeah, so that's really, I mean, where the hell is Juju, honestly? But that's a conversation for another day. Next matchup, Tage versus Alyssa. So for Derrick Henry doing King Henry things, getting 40 points, being I believe the lead scoring running back this week.
Yeah.
In the overtime win versus Houston. Whatchamacallit, Juno Smith got hurt early in game after playing really well the past few weeks. Got to be careful. Like we mentioned, tight end's very thin department right now. Lamar Jackson, though, Fortage was able to run all over the Eagles. Didn't need to play QB. He just had to run. He only threw for 100 yards?
180.
Yeah, that's like crazy. All he had to do, he had 100+ rushing game. So yeah, can we say dual threat?
I think so. I mean, he's kind of a bounce back game to what he kind of did last week. You know, had a little tough week last week.
And what surprises me is Carson Wentz has led the league in interceptions, and the Eagles' offense is riddled with injuries, and Baltimore defense only gets 6 points.
Right.
That's a bit of a head scratcher for me, but I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, another QB that kind of relied on his legs rather than, his arm is Kyler Murray scoring 28 points for Alyssa against a deflated Cowboy defense. I mean, when you got holes for Kenyon Drake and garbage time like that, I mean, what can go wrong?
Where was the safety on that play? I'm just saying.
Mike Evans is notoriously inconsistent when it comes to fantasy football. Reared his ugly head and only got 2 points for Alyssa. I mean, he's good one week and then he's bad another week. He's good and bad. It's tough to play Mike Evans.
It is.
Calvin Ridley is playing like a poor man Julio Jones out there, and that's great for Alyssa. I mean, he's pretty much outscoring Julio Jones this year. He's wide receiver 1? ?
It feels weird to have that conversation, but I think we're getting close to it.
It's tough. Will they even be on? Will Julio Jones or Matt Ryan even be on the team at the end of the season? We'll wait and find out about that. DeAndre Swift scored 27.3 points but was on Alyssa's bench. Had you had started DeAndre Swift and sat Mike Evans, you would have won.
Now it's a 25-point differential in points. You needed the 21 points to win. Would have been the decider, but
25-point swing. This is the thing. You make decisions and you kind of have to roll with them.
But would anybody really have started Swift over Evans? Oh,
I mean,
it's just those things that you're like, I wish I did this thing that I never actually realistically would have.
2020 is hindsight. You know what I'm saying?
Be careful when you say 2020. It's quite a year. So, fantasy updates. Those are all of our matchups.
So, Tua Tagovailoa. I think that's how you say it. Just Tua. He is now the starter for the Dolphins going into their starting week 8 after their bye this week. Hopefully, he has some good luck. He has some weapons around him, like Gesicki, 2 other tall tight ends that caught the ball more than Mike Gesicki did last week. I won't go there. But, wide receivers, running backs.
Miami's looking pretty good.
They're pretty good.
They're looking pretty good. And I think Ryan Fitzpatrick has the maturity to understand that he's respectively stepping down to let the rookies step up and get the reps that he needs. Yeah. I mean, like Fitzmagic right now, it only lasts for a while, so I think he even knows that it's not going to last that long. So might as well quit while you're on top.
And maybe he gets traded to a team that might need him. Dallas.
Oh, yeah, well, I don't know. I don't even know if Fitzmagic could even help the Cowboys.
I think
right
that would
now.
be like his 9th or 10th team that he'd.
They should probably just do it just for the statistic.
You know?
I think that's what they should do. But speaking of other updates in the league, not many injuries actually to talk about, except for like the Eagles. Again, we've now lost 2 more starters this week.
Miles Sanders, Zach Ertz.
We're literally dropping like flies, and we're only 1 game behind. So like, you know what? I'll take it.
I mean that NFC East is a toss-up right now.
It's really anyone's
It's crazy.
game.
It's crazy.
It's really anyone's game, which makes it interesting, though. We're not too far from the Week 9 cutoff, just so everybody knows. Remember at the beginning, we did agree if our fantasy season went until the end of Week 9, anything moving forward, whatever the standing is, first place-wise, that's the person who takes it home if the league suspends or cancels the season. Mm-hmm. So keep that in mind. Like, we're talking about all these bench points that were left behind. You don't want those points left behind. They can cost you that first-place position.
For sure. Week 7 is coming up next. The 4 teams that we have on bye are the Colts, Ravens, Miami Dolphins, and the Vikings.
Exactly. So the league is very close, but it's also very early into the season.
Still early. We have 1 team that's 5-1. So congratulations, Steph. We have 1 team that's 4-2. Congratulations, Alyssa. There are 7 teams. That's more than half of the league. That is 3-3. That means you are 2 games back from first place. 2 games. That's it. That's 2 weeks. And then
still early, like we said.
It's still early. It's anyone's season right now.
Yeah.
And 3 teams that are 2-4. So we're not out of it either. The 2-4 guys. Hey.
So really, I think the one thing that we should note before we close out this video is that nobody is 0-6 and nobody's 1-5.
No.
So I think that this goes to show that everyone's pretty competitive for the most part. So I think it'll be really interesting to see how the roster looks at the end of the season.
I think we only had 1 team last year who went 0-6 in the first 6 weeks, and I think it was Bobby.
Oh, yeah. Rest in peace, Bobby.
Yeah.
To
Sorry.
fantasy team.
Anyway. Now it's Steph's fantasy team. And
look at all the luck that that failure has brought, right? Right. He did so bad, and must have gotten Steph all the amazing draft picks, right? Anyway, guys, that's our recap for week 6. Take care, and we'll see you hopefully at the meetup this Sunday.
Adios.